Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to East West Wisdom. And with you today is Ariel Rubens and your beautiful host, Adiv Dabez. I don't understand why I keep saying that I'm the beautiful one, though.
You are beautiful. Welcome, everyone, to the podcast.
Welcome to the podcast. And today we have very, very important stuff to talk about. Um, Well, we had a topic that we wanted to really focus on, which was focus. And well, the thing is that there's a lot of distractions in today's world. And we as a society have the responsibility of asking the important question, which is what matters to us? And how do we focus on things that matter to us? So, what would you say matters to you, Mr. Rubens?
Yes, thank you, Adib. And I'm just, again, just really, this matters to me that we can share wisdom with the world. And I think when we think about what matters to us, I think it all depends on what we choose to focus on, right? So I think if we're focusing on certain things, that meaning that we can get from our life can be improved. I think when too many things matter to us and our attention is scattered, it's more challenging to really build and grow one aspect of your life or to grow with a person or to grow a project. And so, what matters to me are the very few things that I'm choosing to focus on and to nurture. What matters to you, Adib?
Well, interesting that you say that. Like the way that you put it is very much connecting with me because I've, well, it was kind of a journey for myself to know what things matter and what things don't matter, you know? Because as we said before, there's a lot of distractions in the world, and sometimes you want to be viewed as a certain kind of person, and you want to like when you grow up into a certain environment, you feel like these are things that that society wants. So these are things that I should care about. And it could be like a steady job or a steady wage or like doing things that you dislike because they provide for things that matter to other people. And right there, you forget what really matters to you as a person. You forget what matters to you as a human being because we put what society wants in the forefront of existence, as opposed to looking at our inner being and asking the question, what really matters to us? What are things that matter? Like, for example, oh yeah, when I started this journey, I've seen that there were a lot of people that focus on shallow things like visual, I don't know, like how a person looks or how much money do they have or all these things that don't really have value. In the long run, they don't really matter. So after saying no to things that seem shallow to myself, I've learned to focus on things that mean the world, like love, like careness, like health, uh, like professionalism, getting things done, but done because you want them to be done. Not because somebody else told you how to do and what to do, but because you sat down and you thought of what things really, really matter to you as a human being. So, what would you say guided you to understanding what is something that you want to focus on? and you do focus on, Ariel?
Yeah, really, really deep question. What's coming up for me is the word why. When you have your why, focusing becomes a lot easier too, right? Maybe I'm taking this question into a different place, but what's alive for me to share right now is when you know your why behind your actions, focusing becomes that much more easy. So before we, and I know in part of this podcast, we're going to share techniques and different ways to focus on a deeper level, some tricks that we found along the way for productivity and how to have more mindfulness. But before we get into all of those things, it's really great to identify what's important to us, right? Our values, what's meaningful, but finding our why. Like, why is that meaningful to you, right? And I think when we have our clarity around that, it just becomes a lot more simple. And when the attention is drawn to other places, the areas that we know are very important to us and we know why they are, they become a lot more clear why it's important to keep clear focus on one thing at a time. And one of the things that's really important for me these days is to do this podcast. You know, it's really beautiful because, and if this is your first time listening to us, just want to share kind of our why behind this, and my why behind this is to share Eastern and Western philosophies and wisdom, practical philosophies that can really help you in your life. And Adib and I have been having these conversations on our own for over a decade, and we both believe it's time to share this with the world. So even if it's just you listening to this, we, and I know I can speak for myself, we're very happy. Um, Adib, what is one why that you have in your life, and why is that a why? And you're in mute.
Interesting question. Well, what is a why to me? A why to me is, well, when I first uh, realized that I was miserable, it's probably like when I was 14 or 15, something like that. And I just didn't know what to do about it. I didn't have an answer to really say why I was frustrated with my life or didn't like who I am or where I am. Um, I think it came up because people in my life really helped me ask these questions. Like, you wake up in the morning? Why do you do what you do? Why? Why do you like? Why? And when I kept asking these whys, I've discovered that I'm kind of
Hmm. Hey, you're cutting out a little bit. This happens sometimes when two people are talking on the other sides of the planet. I'm living in Rockville, Maryland, as you can see. He's living in space. That's why he's he's stuck.
a
But before Adib's coming back,
person.
I just wanted
uh,
to just share real quick that our podcast is going to be a little bit um, shorter this time. It's going to be 25 minutes long. And we chose this on purpose because, well, an hour is a long time. And that was our first podcast. With this one, it's going to be 25 minutes is the goal, and moving forward, just 25 minutes. I don't know about you, but when it comes to you know, listening to a conversation, for me, I would like to listen. I'd much rather listen to a 20, 25 minute conversation because also I commute like a lot of people in the US and around the world. And the average commute in the US is about 20, so 29 minutes, roughly, between 25 to like 30 minutes or so. And well, with this in mind, I would like for you to have a bite sized chunk of wisdom that you can just kind of listen to during your ride and not have to like go over to another session and maybe forget parts of it, because this whole podcast is ideally all interconnected, right? And the theory behind the 25 and 5 is, the 5 is actually a number, is it's technique called the Pomodoro technique. Now the Pomodoro technique is was created by a student who is researching focus and attention. Now, when we're thinking about focus and attention, it's very hard to focus very deeply for an hour. There is one professor of computer science who has also studied focus, and he talked about deep work and shallow work. Now, with deep work and connecting back, welcome back, Adib, connecting back to the 25-5, deep work is ideally to practice in 25-minute chunks. So 25 minutes and then a 5-minute break. This is super cool to know, because if you're trying to cram in all of your tasks right back to back, without any leeway and a chance for your mind to just gather thoughts and gather brain power, then it could be very challenging. So this, just so you know, this and going forward, we're going to attempt to keep our podcast limited to about the 25-minute mark. And just know, after 25 minutes, if you're doing also a task on your own, you're studying something, reading a book that's requiring a lot of attention, try the Pomodoro technique. It could be very helpful. Put on a timer, 25 minutes. Once you hear the 25 minutes go off, jump over to, I like to play my handpan, my drum, go for a walk, talk to a friend, anything very different that also gives you energy. Or drink some water, just spend some time out in the sun. These are all just different examples. But when you have that 5-minute break, you will be more productive according to the Pomodoro technique that's been studied. You can really see the decline of focus and brain power, going down right around the 25-minute point. So just so you can expect that, I hear Adib is back, and I wanted to ask Adib, do you have any tips on productivity, and or if you wanted to share your why behind the why, which we didn't hear last time because your camera got disconnected, which happens sometimes. It's okay. Um, what is up, my friend?
Okay, okay. Excuse me. My internet sucks. Okay. Now, I'll continue with the why. Well, the why for me really had to come from a place of loss because I lost my grandmother at the time. She passed away when I was 21. And when she died, I just lost it. I just didn't know what to do with my life and stuff. So I had to get out of my comfort zone of where I lived, and I had to see the world and explore it and meet people and learn from them and understand that the why for myself is because I want to learn about this world that I live in. Because you can't really learn about the world if you're not exploring the world. You have to learn about the world to get your place in the world. What does it mean to you to wake up in the morning, and what does it mean for you to make something matter, or make something interesting happen today, or make something cool happen today. And about focus, I find for myself to be in nature is like the most focusing thing ever, and especially doing it on your own. go going into nature and being in it by yourself, you know, and that really focuses you. So I'll bring it back to you, Ariel.
Yeah, there's something really beautiful about going into nature and,
No.
connecting with focus because, that's the thing. And when you're hiking, I want to ask you, are you hiking with your phone in your pocket? I mean, that's something that I like to ask a lot of people because it's like this is the one time you can let go of this and connect with this and with this and with the nature around you, right? And this phone, my friend, is super addicting. And it could be also potentially the most powerful tool, right? But part of that addictive nature and the applications, a lot of applications are made in a way to draw your attention in. I'm currently off of Facebook, and I personally, I've noticed the attention that it pulls for me because, well, I care about my friends. I care about to know what's happening, and I care what people think. I think a lot of people have this, but having a phone around is going to make you constantly check in on it. I was reading that we have our attention split and we check our phone about 200 times a day, was it? Probably even more. And that's something to reevaluate. And I fall prey to that sometimes. I go through phases where I'm more on my phone, but one thing, nature, Adib, you are so right. If you leave your phone, leave it in your car. Take your keys, and lock the car, right? Or leave it at home, you go for a walk, you go into the forest. That's the time you can start to develop more of this connection with who you are. You are a human being and you're not like this kind of robot that's connected to the interwebs, right? We need to be able to find that balance so we can regain our ability to concentrate. And part of it is cutting out what's not serving us. One of my teachers, Paul Chek, says that an addiction is a repeated behavior that you are continuously doing, but not getting the results you want. Now, I know having a phone is really great and you can choose tasks, and you are focusing in a way and you're connecting with community on there. And there's so many things you can do, right? But it becomes an addiction because I think that I think no one really wants to have a scattered attention. And I think people really want, and I think what the thing that's missing is like the focus and the in person with one person, or to have a focused time around community. And focus is one of the most important things for presence, right? So if we're in community, we're together with people, I can almost guarantee that the urge to look at this device is going to be a lot less. When I'm hanging out with Adib, not thinking about those things. Adib, do you think about other things when we're connecting and where we're, like it's very different.
Most certainly, phones have um, a detriment on our focus and attention. And just a moment, I have a cat on my lap. This is a cat. And
That's another
yes, he wants attention.
drawing of attention.
So I'll just pet the cat while talking to you. So yes, I can do multiple things while connecting and talking with you, my man. It's just that I prefer when we have an interpersonal connection with someone that we maintain eye contact and that we maintain focus on the person in front of us. You see, um, the when you said addiction to phones, I don't think it's the addiction to the phone itself. I think it's something to do with not wanting to be in silence, and fearing silence and fearing that if we are in silence, then what can happen? That'll probably be the end of the world, you know, if I don't have the time, or if nobody can call me, or if I don't have GPS? Will I be lost? Will I be never found? And that's a very existential question. And when we do start asking these existential questions of what does it mean to be alone, and what does it mean to be facing your fears really, truly, and on your skin, what does it mean? And when you actually get to look in the face of danger, in the face of death itself, only then can you really focus on what really matters to you. You as a person, no mass, no money, no other external stuff. Only you and your existence in nature. And that wakes you up. Most certainly that wakes you up into the reality that we live in. That we don't know everything and that we don't have control over most things in life. Um, Another song from Hamilton for you guys is I think the song is called "Wait for It," and the actor sings and he says, "The only thing I can control is myself. I lost my parents. I lost uh, everything that I had in my life. The only thing that I do have control over is myself." Exactly, Kat. So, okay, we're about to be finished with this episode. Do you have any conclusions, Ariel, for today?
Yes, a couple of things. Thank you for your share. It's making me realize and reconnect with one of the my favorite quotes of all times. It's a quote by Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, and he would write to himself in what we would call today the Book of Meditations. And one of my favorite sayings is he wrote is, "We have control over our mind. Do this." Sorry. We have control over our mind and not outside events. Do this and you will find strength. That's it. That's right there. With all of our attention pulled, whether it's a cat, whether it's a phone, whether it's something else, a great way to train that is to go into nature, of course. And one thing that happens in nature when you are completely still and quiet is that you'll notice so much more. You can even go to the same place, and this is a nature connection practice called a sit spot. You just sit there. You walk to a place that you connect with, you know, that you can really sit down and be present, and you just observe. And so you kind of then can kind of let go of like a one point focus and instead bring it to the overall landscape. And you sit and you become present and you become quiet. And then you would notice that some magic starts to happen. That suddenly a squirrel starts to visit you every day. And if you're really quiet, the animals aren't as afraid of you. More creatures start to appear, and I just remember one time there was a deer and it was just so close to me. It was just like, who are you? And I was very close to even being able to pet a deer. And that was a very beautiful moment in my life. And I hope that if there's one thing you can take away from this is, yes, all this focusing and these techniques, they're really great, but spending more time in nature could be a life-changing experience. Even one time sitting out there, and even when you're hiking, it's like, are you walking the whole time or are you pausing at least once? Can you find one tree and say, wow, look at this tree? So that your focus is coming from more of a natural place, a more human place. And the distractions that happen in a forest are part of what we've been doing our whole entire existence as human beings. And okay, now we need to process a lot more in this world, but the mindfulness you can achieve from being in nature, the focus that you can reclaim back, get it back to how it's supposed to be. You can get it back. You can become strong in your mind and have control over your mind. And with the control over the mind, I think comes more peace.
Peace is number one, man. Peace is number one.
Yes.
It's like the Buddha said, like uh, the troubles of man begin when he cannot sit in a room and do nothing. So I'll tell you what, man. I enjoy speaking with you, and this really matters to me. These viewers and talking to the viewers really matters to me. Um, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoy this as much as I do. So thank you very much, Ariel, and thank you much, Kat. Thank you a lot.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. And tune in for episode 3 coming every week on YouTube. Talk soon. My name is
Thank you,
Ari.
guys.
This was Adib,
Thank
and
you.
we were really grateful to be your host today. Enjoy the
Yes.
day.
Bye.